Hey everyone, this is Daniel from PhoneArena with a video review of the Sony Xperia Tablet S. It sports that signature wedge look that Sony introduced with its Tablet S last year, but it's much slimmer than Sony's first Android tablet. Effort flaunts a quad-core Tegra 3 processor, high-resolution 8-megapixel camera here on the back, and that's about it as far as upgrades go. The flip notepad look of Sony's first tablet is kept in the Xperia S, but the part that flips over is much shorter now, covering just about a third of the back. It turned out quite practical while holding the tablet for a prolonged period of time with one hand, comfortably supporting the slate on your finger. That curved part also proved very useful for carrying the Xperia slate around with one hand, as you can see. And it's patterned with tiny dots that help the grip even further. The overall build quality, while plastic, seems rather sturdy. The tablet is also rated as splash proof, but Sony just listed some troubles with that feature in the first batches, so those tablets already sold will have to make a pit stop now. Despite the backflip here, the Sony Xperia Tablet S is much thinner than the first Tablet S at 0.35 inches, 8.9 millimeters here, which go to 12 millimeters here in the upper part. The back is quite tapered towards the edges, as you can see, which helps while holding the tablet, but the proprietary connector here at the bottom is rather recessed, making it more difficult to plug a cable when the tablet is in a case, for instance. There's one regular SD card slot here up left, covered by a protective lid, so you can add storage on the chip. And the volume rocker as well as the power lock key upright are easy to feel and press, and there is a quite visible LED notification light above them. The screen is 9.4 inches, 1280 by 800 pixels of resolution, surrounded by a fairly thick bezel, where you can rest your thumbs comfortably without worrying you'll touch something inadvertently. That screen resolution is the main gripe to be held against the Xperia Tablet S in this day and age of flagship slates with 1080p displays and above. It is not a bad screen in terms of colors, contrast ratio and viewing angles, but the display brightness is about average, meaning you'd barely be able to discern anything outside on a bright sunny day, even at maximum brightness. Let's have a look at the interface now. The Xperia Tablet S is running Android ice cream sandwich, but Sony has pimped the stock interface with a few useful tricks. First of all, we have the small apps dock, which we're familiar with from the newest Xperia phones. It allows you to lock a number of, small apps right here on the home screen. I like this calculator small app here, which pins on your home screen permanently, like a permanent widget, so you can keep doing whatever you're doing underneath and it always stays here. There are also a tiny browser, a clock, clip function. You can select an area to clip quickly and send it. There's a handy note small app for jotting down things on the fly, a recorder, a remote control small app for the IR blaster, which allows you to manage all your home electronics like TVs, stereos and so on, a timer, and you can also add any of the widgets you have on the tablet, like the Google Play Music widget. It will dock here. You can keep doing what you're doing on your home screens, but it will always stay here, docked, so you can control your tunes. You can also add some more from the Play Store, but right now there's a pretty limited selection. Another novelty on the Xperia Tablet S is the so-called guest mode, which allows you to share the Xperia Tablet S with friends and family with personalized home screen looks and settings for each user. Here we have a guest mode that is set to only allow access to the browser, which by the way is pretty good. We didn't have any troubles pinching, panning around or scrolling with it. It supports Adobe Flash right out of the box. One of the handiest features in the Xperia Tablet S is this universal remote control function via the infrared port, which is accompanied by the remote control app that allows you to command electronics around the house like TV, stereos, TV set-top boxes, and so on and so forth. If by chance the branded model are not in the list, you can tell the tablet to learn from a remote control. So you press the respective button and it will remember it, what command needs to go, or you can go the easy registration route. Just put the brand of the TV in here, or the cable box, or the VCR, DVD player, HDD audio system, iPod dock, IP set-top box, and many more. Then you can choose the type of the remote and the gestures you would use for volume and channel control. Change the skin, test the remote control, and you're good to go. There's also an app called Watch Now, which curates the shows that are currently playing on 50 of your favorite channels after you enter your zip code and cable provider, and you can just flick the tile with your favorite show and it will switch to that channel on your TV in the living room. Pretty handy. Other Sony specific apps on the tablet include the Sony Reader, which taps the millions of ebooks available by Sony. Also, you can enter the Sony Entertainment Network with its 80,000 plus movies and TV shows or 15 million songs for streaming. You'll need an account for that network, of course. That same Sony Entertainment Network account you will need for the Social Life app here, which aggregates your social networking and news feeds by what's trending. You can watch anything that goes on by a simple tap. Pretty handy app. You have to be registered to the Sony Entertainment Network, as we mentioned, and another account you need to get if you want to use a Sony specific app. It's this PlayStation mobile app for Android that just got launched recently. There are a couple of older PlayStation games here. Let's go arcade. As you can see, priced fairly competitively. All the games for PlayStation, which you can buy if you have this PlayStation Network account. The typical for Android slates of late quad-core NVIDIA Tegra 3 processor clocked at 1.4 GHz is powering the ICS interface with a slight hint of Sony features without any hiccups on the Xperia Tablet S. We have 1 GB of RAM and 16 GB of internal memory as a basis, but there are also 32 GB and even 64 GB versions of the tablet. Not much point in them though, as Sony has supplied the Xperia Tablet S with a regular SD card slot, and one 64 GB unit of those is less than $40 now to outfit your tablet with a total of 80 GB of storage. Out of the 16 GB internal memory on our unit, 10 GB are user available, and the rest is for the operating system and app installation. As you can see, we scored a bit over 4,000 points on Quadrant, which is about on par with other Android tablets with Tegra 3. Sony uses the default Android gallery, but also its own album app for arranging the pictures in this tiled grid style. And you can also edit the pics pretty easily with a number of rich editing functions, effects, and so on. The tiles are arranged chronologically, and your videos are also here as well. but there is a separate video player app called Movies. The slate doesn't play DivX Xperia files right out of the box. It does play 1080p MPEG-4 files though. And the player is pretty basic, with only a couple of sound and display settings. There's this clear face.
The only country UFOs ever seen.
Sound enhancement. But as you can hear, there's not that much difference. The speakers are pretty average.
Has led me to your planet.
We've got the typical Walkman branded music player here on the Xperia Tablet S with this clean, minimalistic looking interface. We have tiled categorization of your tunes by tracks, albums, artists and playlists, and the Sense Me channel, which categorizes the tunes according to their mood. You can also turn on the clear audio sound mode, which doesn't help that much with the speakers, which are of below average strength, and a couple of equalizer presets. The interface that manages the 8-megapixel rear camera of the Xperia Tablet S is easy to use and clean, but doesn't support many functions. We have a couple of scene modes, focus modes, and that's about it. There's a panorama function. You just pan around with the tablet and it stitches the frames fairly quickly with that processor. We also have 1080p video mode, of course, with 30 frames per second. The pictures themselves turned out bland, however, lacking detail and focus. The slate records the 1080p video with fluid 30 frames per second, as we said, but the colors and detail are subpar, like on the still shots. The front camera, which gets used quite often on tablets for video chat, does the job fine, keeping noise in check. Android tablets are mostly competing on specs and price these days, rather than overall look and feel. The 16GB version of the Xperia Tablet S goes for $400 from Sony, and granted this is $100 less than the ultra-resolute new iPad or the Asus Infinity T700. But for the same $400 price, you can get the 1920 by 1200 pixels 10-inch screen of the Acer Iconia Tab A700, for example, and with 32GB of memory at that. The Xperia Tablet S does offer some features to differentiate it from the competition, like the universal remote control, apart from its very distinctive looks. Other than that, you can find plenty of good Android tablets with this screen resolution and processing power for even less. The Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 10.1 and the Asus Transformer TF300 with 32GB of memory come to mind. Or those who appreciate the more distinctive, elegant look and the universal remote control will find the Xperia Tablet S right up their alley. Those who want a tablet with higher screen resolution, though, better check out the Acer Iconia Tab A700 or the resolutionary new iPad with its hundreds of thousands of tablet-tailored apps. As positive points for the tablet, would point out that sweet universal remote control with useful apps right here, SD card slot for cheap storage expansion, whereas the main negative is that there are tablets with higher screen resolution at that price. This was a video review of the Sony Xperia Tablet S from PhoneArena. For more information about this and other tablets, you can visit us at PhoneArena.com. Thanks for watching.